Let me turn on this gray. You can also go into Window, Settings and Preferences, go into Display, and here you can see that there's a background gradient. You can turn that on or off. The reason that we like to turn that off is just because of the compression. Sometimes we get some artifacts, and it's a little bit easier to see things as we go through this process. So to the top menu here, we'll talk about the interface in a little bit as we go on. So I'll just drop in a NURBS primitive. So let's drop in a sphere, and I'll just drag this out onto the grid. So now we have a nice sphere in our 3D view. All right, so how do we actually move around and be able to see this in 3D? You can see the grid here, gives us an idea that we are in 3D space, but how do we move around? Well, we're going to be using the Alt key to do that. So if we want to track the camera around, I'll hit Alt, and I'll hit the middle mouse button and drag around. So I'm able to track and move around. If I want to tumble around our object, I can hold down Alt and left click. So now I'm left clicking and I'm able to kind of rotate around our model in 3D space. I can alternate very quickly between tumbling and tracking just by changing what key I'm hitting on the mouse. Now if I'd like to move in and out, or dolly in and out towards the model or away from the model, I can hold down Alt and use the right mouse button. Okay, now this works on a 3-button mouse. You can also use the left and middle mouse buttons together as well to move in and out. Turn on smooth shading so that we can see the 3D shading on the model instead of just the wireframe. Is to hit the space bar. So if I just tap the space bar, you'll notice when I did that there was sort of a little menu that popped up. If I hold down on space bar, this hot box comes up, and tap space bar, I'm now looking at 4 different views. The title of the view is going to be located down at the bottom, so you can see here's our original. It's called Perspective, or P-E-R-S-P. And then over to the left, you can see we have a top view, which is looking down on the top of the sphere. We have a front view, and then we have a side view. Now the way that you can kind of figure out where it is that you're looking at these views from is to look at this main world axis here. So you can see this is telling us that up, in this case our orientation is Y going up, Z coming in this direction, and X coming in this direction. So you can see here from the top view we're looking down along the Y. If we compare our axis in this viewport, you can see Y, you can't really see the line at all because we're looking straight down the Y axis. And you can see X in this view is going to the right. So it would correspond in our perspective view with this direction. Now I also want to mention here, if we maximize our perspective view, there's a little cube up here in the top right-hand corner, and this is the view cube. And you can see that if I hover over the different parts of this cube, they will become sort of highlighted. So right now you can see that the angle of this cube sort of corresponds with how we're looking at this model. If we were to click on just the front plane of this cube, it'd sort of move around and give us a front view. Now we're not switching to the front viewport. You can see we're still in perspective. It's just kind of taking us to that angle. Now if we wanted to kind of roll it that way, we could do it by clicking these arrows. We could also hit these arrows to go to the next plane, so we can go to the different sides, or we could come up to the top. Okay, we can also just grab this and sort of rotate it around. If we wanted to get a sort of 3/4 view from the top, we can hit this corner, and it'll kind of take us to that angle. So it's a nice quick way of just moving around to different camera angles, depending on how you want to actually be able to view your model. And we're not leaving the viewport to do this, so we are staying right in the perspective view. Okay, if you click on this, there are some options for setting your current view as front or as home. You can see here's a home view right here. If we just click that, it'll take us back. So that view cube is a great way to just very quickly move around and see your model from different views while staying in the same viewport. Now if you like, you can turn this off simply by going to Window, Settings and Preferences, and let's go up under Interface to View Cube. And here we have an option for showing the view cube or not showing the view cube. We can also change its position if we'd like to instead have it show up on the left-hand side for whatever reason, or we would like to kind of change the size of it or the opacity. We can do that all in here in our preferences. When we're done, we can simply save our preferences out, and now it functions the same way. It's just on the other side of the screen. Now let's say that we have a few different objects here. say we have two spheres, and we select both of these and hit F, it'll kind of get a midpoint there of those. In addition to F, you can just hit the A key, and that'll frame everything in our scene. So if you've got a number of objects in here and you want to just get an overall view of all of them, you can hit the A key. Whereas if you want to just frame up on a selected object, you can select that object and hit F.